DQ live recap of Friday Night Smackdown, which was not live, but rather it was taped on Tuesday night. Only people that attended at the Thunderdome were able to see the show on Tuesday. Spoilers did come out. All I will say before we get started is that it was like a mini pay-per-view event. It was a loaded Smackdown. There's a lot of things to talk about. Thank you for tuning in on Christmas. I appreciate it. Thank you for watching on demand as well. And like I always say, if you enjoyed this video, please share it, tell a friend, spread the word. Tom McCarthy with a $2 super chat. Thank you, Tom. He says, when was the last time a WWE TV show started late? It's been a very long time. WWE had football right before SmackDown began, and there was a post-game show, and it went over for a few minutes. SmackDown did not start right at 8 o'clock Eastern. It started at like 8:06. It's been a long time, but WWE, I'm sure, will not be complaining about it. They got a big lead-in from the NFL, and they went right out of the gate. WWE did not waste any time getting down to business. With that NFL lead-in, WWE kicked off SmackDown the biggest way possible. The Universal Champion, Roman Reigns, the first person to come out on SmackDown, going up against Kevin Owens in a rematch from TLC for the Universal Championship. My good friend TJS just sent in a $2 super chat with a spoiler alert graphic. Thank you for that, TJS. Now that the show has aired, it's not a spoiler anymore, so we can talk about it. We had Michael Cole and Corey Graves doing commentary as usual, and I will give praise to them and praise to WWE. Cole did a very good job of explaining the storylines rather than a lot of video packages, which is common for WWE programming. You had Michael Cole actually explain the storyline to casual viewers. I thought that that was very well done. It was a very effective way, in my opinion, to get first-time viewers quickly up to speed with what's going on in the current storylines. I liked that. The match between Reigns and Owens started fast. They got into the hockey fight. They were brawling. Reigns had the early advantage, but Owens quickly got back into it, and he hit move after move trying to put away the big dog. He hit a frog splash. Reigns kicked out of it. Pop-up powerbomb. Reigns kicked out. He hit a fisherman suplex off the top. Another near fall. Reigns then came back and hit the Superman punch. Got a near fall on Owens. He threw Owens into the cage. He used the ropes for leverage to put on the guillotine, but Owens managed to get out of that. He hit the stunner. However, Reigns once again kicked out. Owens could not keep the big dog down, or the tribal chief as we refer to him now as. Owens attempted to climb the cage and Reigns stopped him. Reigns then hit a spear, got a near fall on Owens. This was a very back and forth match. Reigns then decided to go for the door. He attempted to leave, but Owens slammed the door into Reigns' face and then started throwing Reigns into the cage repeatedly. And then, pretty much as we all expected, Jey Uso showed up. Uso prevented Owens from escaping the cage. Reigns went for a spear, but he missed. And Owens hit another stunner. But then Jey had a pair of handcuffs, and he handcuffed Owens to one of the ropes. And from this point, it was just academic. It was easy peasy for the tribal chief. Reigns walked over Owens. Owens was desperately trying to have his feet touch the floor. Nice visual there, but Reigns just slowly took his time, walked down the steel steps, and Owens was shouting, yelling at Reigns, calling him a little bitch, but Reigns was like, whatever, dude. Great heel. Reigns just stepped down and his feet touched the floor. He was the winner of the match. It was predictable, even without the spoilers. I mean, I don't think anybody really thought Owens was going to win the title. Jey Uso interfering in a cage match. I mean, you know it by now. It's unfortunate. I miss the days when a cage match would actually settle a feud without outside interference, although, come to think of it, cage matches more times than not have outside interference. Even the greatest cage matches, you think of the first Hell in a Cell match. Kane interfered in that and ripped open the door, and that's what started the Hell in a Cell legacy, was outside interference. But match was great. Match was awesome. Pay-per-view quality match. I would not say as good as TLC, but really strong match here, and a very effective way, in my opinion, to bring in some casual viewers that might have turned in after the football game out of curiosity. Psycho Jet Black with a $2 super chat. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. He says, why aren't the other heels badasses like Roman Reigns? Because Roman Reigns is the guy. He is the main event, and you want to make your top star come off as much of a badass as possible. Reigns is the guy. Whether he's a face or a heel, he's the guy. So yeah, they're going full force, making him a badass. And if you're the world champion, whether you're a heel or a face, you should be a badass. And when it comes to heels being cowardly, you can absolutely have that. But I've always felt that the top heel should not be a coward. The top heel should take shortcuts like a heel does, but the top heel has to believe in their own mind that they are the toughest guy in the company. And that's what Roman Reigns is. Strong open to the show. We had Charlotte and Asuka come to the ring. It was announced that they would be defending in a triple threat elimination match. Hamp Connor with a $2 super chat says, Merry Christmas, Aaron. Thank you for that, Hamp. I do appreciate it very much. Bayley quickly interrupted, and then Sasha interrupted, Bianca Belair interrupted, Carmella interrupted, called them all a bunch of bitches, and then we finally had our match. Match was, again, very solid, could have been on a pay-per-view. My only complaint about this was the pre-match promo segment. It really served no purpose, and it's one of those segments where one person comes out and then another person comes out. I really think you could have just gone straight to the match. You did not need that promo segment. But beyond that, match was really good here. You had the Riot Squad watching backstage. I'm guessing they will be getting a title match at some point. Nice little sequence with Charlotte and Bianca Belair. They were each taking turns showboating, doing backflips and whatnot. Bayley hit a Bayley to belly on Asuka, but Asuka kicked out. And for a while, it was Bayley and Carmella working over Asuka. And by the way, interesting note during this match, at least I thought it was interesting, Michael Cole referred to them as athletes. It's always superstars. If you listen, it's always superstars. But this time, Michael Cole said athletes. I was surprised by that. Martin R. Cruz says, Merry Christmas, Aaron. What did you get this year? I'll talk about that at the end. Maybe we'll talk about Christmas gifts afterwards. But let's finish the SmackDown recap first. You had Asuka eventually tagging out, and then Sasha pinned her own nemesis Bayley with the frog splash, of course, tribute to Eddie Guerrero. Charlotte got put in the bank statement, but she was able to get out of that. She put the figure 4 on Sasha. However, Bianca had a very unique way to get the tag. She literally took her hair, her long hair, and stuck it out for Sasha to grab. I thought that that was pretty creative. Bianca tagged back in, and she got a near fall with a sit-down powerbomb. However, Bayley was still there at ringside trying to be a distraction. Sasha was out of commission at this point. I think she got knocked into Reggie. Reginald was still there, Carmella's assistant. Charlotte tagged herself back in, and she hit the natural selection to pin Bianca. I know some people were not fans of Bianca taking the fall here to Charlotte, especially when Charlotte beat Shayna Baszler, and people are like, oh, Charlotte's already being overexposed, and they could be right when it's all said and done. I did not really have a problem with this. Bianca looked very strong in this match, and with Sasha out of commission at the end, it was basically Bianca versus two of the best in the company, arguably the two best in the company, and she held her own the best she could. And keep in mind, she's still the rookie of the group. She's the one on the rise. I mean, I've seen people argue both ways. I personally did not have an issue with it. The only thing I might have done differently is maybe had Bianca pin Bayley, although Bayley has been doing a lot of jobs in this match. I'm not sure I would have even done an elimination match. Maybe I would have just done a straight up triple threat. First fall ends it. Just so only one person has to take a fall. It was a really good match, though. It was a pay-per-view quality match. It was long. It wasn't like it was a 5-minute match and people were doing quick jobs. It was a long match. Everybody got a good amount of offense. I had no issues with it, other than that pre-match promo, which I thought was unnecessary. Backstage, we had the Street Profits. And by the way, Psycho Jet Black says Bianca will become a bigger star than Montez Ford. She very well could, and Street Profits are doing great right now. Kev says not a fan, but she did look strong, though. And JSpin401 says Bianca has to lose sometime. Amanda said the match was really good. The Profits were backstage, hyping up the rest of the show, as they do. And then Sami Zayn, he was yelling at this woman about the Sami Awards from last week. And by the way, Sami actually won Slammies, or were those his Sammys? I'm not even sure, but I think they're the Sammys. I haven't really been paying much attention, but I believe they're the Sammys. I don't think he won a Slammy. He had the Sammys, just like Owen Hart, and the Street Profits had a gift for Sami. At first, he wanted them to go away, but when they said they had a gift, of course, greedy Sami Zayn was very quick to want this gift. But as it turns out, the joke was on him. The gift was a different version of his shirt. His shirt says, I am the Intercontinental Champion, and it was changed to, I was Intercontinental Champion. And Sami, of course, was very upset about this. Mr. Dark Fantasy with a $2 super chat. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. He says, any word on Armageddon being the February pay-per-view? No, this is the first I've heard of this, and I do not believe that's the case. WWE has no interest in using Armageddon, to my knowledge. It hasn't been used in a very long time. And I would be shocked if they brought that back. I mean, they typically do Elimination Chamber. And I'm feeling like there's probably not going to be any other pay-per-views besides Elimination Chamber between the Rumble and WrestleMania. Keep in mind, Rumble's going to be January 31st. WrestleMania at this time is March 28th. Elimination Chamber would be like around March 1st. And there's really no room to squeeze in another show. There might not even be a February pay-per-view. And haha, GIL with a $2 super chat, thank you for that, says, WWE didn't censor KO, TV 14 return confirmed. Well, what did he say that was TV 14? I mean, bitch, they say bitch a lot. They've said bitch for years, and the show has been TV 14. So unless there's something I missed, I don't think Owens said anything that was really outlandish. So next up we had Jey Uso versus Daniel Bryan. But before the match could even begin, Jey Uso jumped Bryan as Bryan was making his entrance, and Jey threw Bryan into the presence up on the stage. They got back into the ring. They had the match, which Jey dominated for the most part. However, he could not put Bryan away. Jey, he ended up being dumped over the top, hit the floor, and hurt his knee during the match. Storyline, of course. Bryan went for a dive, but Jey sidestepped it, and Bryan crashed into the announce table, so Jey was still in it despite the bum knee. Bryan tried to take advantage, of course, being the veteran. Jey hit a frog splash off the top. However, he hurt himself again with his knee, and he could not make the cover. Bryan got the yes lock on. Jey got out of it, and Bryan turned it into a half crab, being the submission expert. Jey got out of that, and then it just turned into a fist fight. They were trading blows back and forth. Jey went for a super kick, but he missed. And then Bryan hit the running knee to pick up the 1-2-3 victory. Another really good match. Could have been on a pay-per-view. These guys have great chemistry. I very much enjoyed it. TJS with a $3 super chat. Thank you, Tyler. I appreciate it. He says, WWE on Fox Twitter announced Seth Rollins' return for January 1st, which would be next Friday. Well, there you go. People are wondering how long Seth would be gone, and I figured he'd be back for the Royal Rumble. The latest he would be back would be maybe a week or two before the Rumble. So I'm not surprised he's coming back relatively soon. I think the bigger question is, when does Becky Lynch make her return? Psycho Jet Black with a $2 super chat. Thank you for that. He says, prediction, the Usos versus Team Hell No at WrestleMania. I like that. I would not be opposed to that as a match, although I'm feeling it's going to be Street Profits versus the Usos at WrestleMania. And I'm feeling Daniel Bryan might win the Royal Rumble. It looks like he's not going to be facing Roman Reigns at the Rumble, which is something that has been rumored for a while. Backstage, you had Daniel Bryan talking about how he has never won a Royal Rumble. And that is on his bucket list of things to do. He declared himself as the first person to enter the Royal Rumble. And to me, I think he has to be the odds-on favorite, because who else can really go against Roman Reigns? If it's not going to be The Rock, if it's not going to be John Cena, if it's going to be somebody currently on SmackDown, Daniel Bryan is the best choice, in my opinion, to face Roman Reigns. And if Daniel Bryan is planning to wind down his career, which he has indicated, this is going to be his last run. Win the Royal Rumble, go on to WrestleMania. Probably will not win the title, but I could see him being built up for this last run and have him try to be the guy to stop Reigns. They have that history going back to 2015. Anyways, Sami Zayn confronted Bryan and thought maybe Bryan had something to do with a lumberjack match being made for the Intercontinental Championship, Sami versus Big E, and said that karma will get Daniel Bryan, and then Sami will laugh in Bryan's face. People in the chat room are talking about other Royal Rumble potential winners. TJS says Brock. Kev says Daniel or Big E. Israel Diaz says Keith Lee or Big E. And Colin Andrew the Cleaver, Merry Christmas Colin, says E to win the Royal Rumble. What do you guys think, not just in the chat room, but anybody else watching this on demand? Leave a comment on YouTube in the comments section with your prediction right now, as of December 25th, December 26th, whenever you're watching this. Leave your comment. Let me know who you think will win the Men's Royal Rumble. And Go ahead and throw the women's pick as well. At this time, who you think is going to win. Leave your comments on the YouTube page. We had our main event of the evening, the Lumberjack match. And before we got started, we had a recap of what happened last week with the Sami Awards. The Lumberjacks were out there. You had the heels, the faces. The heels were cheating. They were attacking Big E anytime he got thrown to the outside. Pretty standard for a Lumberjack match. Zayn took advantage, hit a big dive to Big E. Big E did manage to make a comeback, but Zayn, more dirty heel tactics with the thumb to the eye. Tried to roll up Big E, got a near fall. He hit another near fall attempt with a sunset flip powerbomb. And then the two of them ended up on the outside of the ring. A big brawl erupted between all the Lumberjacks. The heels and the faces started fighting. Zayn tried to take off. He tried to leave. However, Apollo stopped Sami Zayn from leaving. And then all the baby faces grabbed Zayn, brought him back into the ring. Big E finished off Zayn with the big ending. 1, 2, 3. Your new Intercontinental Champion, Big E. Big celebration post-match. Big E went up to Corey Graves and said, I told ya. You had confetti going off. You had all the wrestlers in the ring celebrating with Big E. Nice feel-good moment. Made the title feel special. I liked it. And there was even a Pat Patterson reference saying that Big E did it his way. I thought it was great. People in the chat room saying Big E for the Rumble. I think him getting the IC title probably means he's not going to win the Royal Rumble. Although, it would be cool, and I've had other people tell me this, Mr. Tito, Robbie Vice. They remember back in the day when the Intercontinental Champion was a big deal. That person was potentially the #1 contender for the world title. It would be nice if we got to see that again. But I feel like this is just something for Big E now to continue with his singles run. I still think it's going to be Bryan that will face Reigns at WrestleMania. That's my gut feeling at this point. But we still have 5 weeks until the pay-per-view. So we'll talk about Christmas here in just a few minutes. Hamp Connell with a $2 super chat says, are they trying to make Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode into beer money? No, I don't think so. I just think it's something for both guys to do, something to keep them relevant on SmackDown. Sometimes when you don't know what to do with somebody, you put them in a tag team to keep them on the radar in some capacity. TJS with a $5 super chat says, I don't care. E still has no gimmick and the chalk entrance was cringe logo. Whoa. TJS says he isn't evolving, but instead devolving. He needs something new. I will say this. I'm not the biggest fan of his music. I think it's pretty generic. It almost sounds like a song from AEW. It's just average in my opinion. And I get what you're saying about the chalk. You know, it's going back to the past. I do think maybe in time it would be good if Big E could continue to come up with some new routines for his character. But hey, it's a start. At least it's not total New Day and he's moving in a direction where he's distancing himself a little bit from the New Day. Still keeping the comedic side of his personality and having the personality shine on TV, but trying to do something different with him. And like you said, evolve the character. Mike B with a $5 super chat. Thank you, Mike B. I appreciate it. Says, oh fudge, except I didn't say fudge. Merry Christmas, everyone in the no DQ galaxy. Likewise to you, Mike B. And Hamp Connell with a $5 super chat. Thank you, Hamp. I appreciate it. Says, I'm thinking Seth Rollins comes back as a babyface like Triple H in 2002 due to the fans being happy to see him and wins the Royal Rumble. That's what I would like to see too, but I sense he's going to come back as the Messiah, and somehow this Rey Mysterio storyline is going to continue. Although I feel like the Mysterio family, they're feuding with King Corbin now, but that could always change. I would have liked to have seen Seth Rollins just return at the Rumble with the old burn it down. He's a babyface again. We'll see. We'll see what happens. And also with Triple H's return, there was a lot of time spent up building that up. They spent several weeks airing those videos from U2. Beautiful day. And this thing with Seth Rollins is just, he's coming back next week. Not a whole lot of fanfare with it, which makes me think he's coming back as the Messiah. I would have preferred him to just come back as a babyface and build him up potentially for Roman Reigns, with the roles reversed. So anyways, letter grade for the show. It was a great SmackDown. I think there were a few things I might have done differently, but I'm going to go with a solid A for this SmackDown. It was like a mini pay-per-view. Great wrestling matches from start to finish. Only 4 matches on the show. And all 4 of them were really entertaining. So not too much to complain about. Israel Diaz gives it an A. Michael Wayne, CC Drink, Amanda, Gamazon 100 all give it an A, as does Mike B. Ace and his familiar vlogs with an A+. Daniel, not as impressed, C-. Calvin Bowman with an A, Kim Hall, B+, and Hamp Connell, B+, due to the women's segment. And yeah, that was maybe one of the things that brought it down for me. Colin Andrew also gives it a B. And Psycho Jet Black with a $5 super chat says, seriously, why did fans blame Seth Rollins for the Hell in a Cell with The Fiend and not Vince? He's in charge of writing, yet when he comes out, people boo. Or people bow to Vince. Yeah, I always found that funny. People crap on Vince McMahon constantly, but whenever he shows up, you hear no chance in hell, everybody pops. Reminds me of Kevin Nash as well, because people would say Kevin Nash was always trying to bury the smaller guys, and he was a politician, he was only in it for the money. But then whenever Kevin Nash would come out, like at the Royal Rumble in 2011, everybody pops for him. So it's always funny to me how that works out, where people will crap on somebody, but if that guy shows up in the arena, they're going to pop for the guy. Anyways, I hope everybody had a great Christmas. What did you guys get for Christmas? Leave a comment either on the YouTube page or if you're watching this live in the chat room. What did you guys get for Christmas, wrestling related? Let me know. I actually do not think I got anything because I really did not request anything. I got some Breaking Bad items. I got t-shirts, a Breaking Bad Monopoly game, stuff that I tend to like. I'm not a big collector of wrestling merchandise. Every once in a while I'll get a t-shirt, but not that often. TJS says he got a beard kit. Well, what does that have to do with wrestling, TJS? And he also says, will Vince live to 100? I'm not going to make predictions on that. One would think Vince would last a long time in life, and it would take a lot to put him down for the count, but I don't know. I really don't. CC Drink says an autographed picture of Roman Reigns. Ace in his familiar vlog said an Eddie Guerrero figure and Eddie pin. A couple people said they did not get anything wrestling related. Psycho Jet Black says my sister got me a WrestleMania 6 retro t-shirt featuring the Ultimate Warrior. I've seen that one before. That one's pretty cool. TJS says I got a Daniel Bryan shirt and KO socks. All right, well, there you go, TJS. You did get some wrestling merchandise after all. It's been a fun weekend, and I hope everybody continues to be safe, stay positive. Thank you guys again for tuning in during this holiday weekend. No DQ review will probably be back on Tuesday. Not sure when, but we are planning to have one more before the end of the year. I'll be back for Raw. AEW's got a big show next week. So we are going to end 2020 on a high note. Stay tuned for the very latest wrestling news and rumors over on NoDQ.com. And I will see you guys next time. Take care, everybody.